Hi there. So this video is going to be a fishing lure tumbler tutorial. So my husband bought one of these last weekend and I was like, that is exactly what I want to use as my inspiration. It's just so simple, but so pretty. And I'm going to warn you now, I will probably hook myself on these. I'm really tempted to just take the hooks off. But I want him to be able to use it because he lost the last one, so I had to go buy another one to use as my model. So for what this video entails, you will need your colors, which it doesn't have to be these, obviously. There's all kinds of combos. We were just at Bass Pro Shop. Holy moly, hundreds of options. So I like how this is silver and navy. I'll use black vinyl, holographic, and black right there. I'm not going to do anything with this part. This is a popper versus like a spoon or whatever, but I'm not going to worry about that. I've already base painted this. I'm going to have to go back over it because I accidentally whacked it. And I'm going to go back over it. But what I used was this Rust-Oleum. I think this is aluminum. Yeah, aluminum. So I just gave it a good coating. I'm going to have to do it again, but that's okay. And then I'll use navy for the striping. And that's this one. Just regular old navy blue. This got left outside for a few days and it rained, so it's kind of icky. But it doesn't matter. That's okay. So I've got my cup wrapped here. So we are going to put our fishnet on there. And I actually rubber banded the end of mine because the way I'm going to pull it tight, this is actually from the plus sizes. So I think it's a little bit different than the regular, but that's okay. This is what I found at Walmart. It's like $6 and you can use these multiple times if you wash them. So I went ahead and did this because I don't want my seam creeping up to the side where I have to pay attention to it. And I'm not going to spray on the bottom, so this can just kind of bunch up right there. So we are going to put this on just like that. Pull it nice and snug. If you don't pull it very tight, it ends up with smaller triangles, which is fine if that's the look you're going for. But I kind of want mine to be a little bit wider, so I'm going to do that. And just for good measure, instead of me trying to hold this and spray and risking it moving and messing up my paint job, I'm going to rubber band this here. Doesn't have to be super tight. It just needs to be tight enough to where it does what we need. And then I'll go outside and I'll literally spray paint pretty solid here and just kind of fade as we go away from the solid part. We'll do that outside, obviously. Okay, so here we are. We have our pantyhosed cap. We have our spray paint. It's really early. No one in the house is up yet, so it's so peaceful out here. Except for now my ducks are coming because they hear me talking, so they might make a little cameo. So what I'm going to do is spray a little heavier here in this area and then kind of lighten it up as I go. And I should probably take my watch off. There's my duckies. All right, so just nice and gentle. You don't want to get super duper close. You will get spray paint on your hand unless you wear something over it. The lure I'm using doesn't have a whole lot, so that's all I'm going to do right there. So you can kind of see what I've got going on there. A little lighter there, obviously super dark, and fading off there. So we're going to let this dry for a minute and then take it off. Since it's not super hot and not super windy, it's going to take a couple of minutes to dry. Okay, we're pretty dry. You don't want to pull this off when it's wet because these lines will smear. I've seen lots of people say they had to start over because they didn't wait long enough. So what we're going to do now is undo this rubber band. Oh, one more thing. While this is drying, try not to move the netting like at all. It'll smear your lines even if you're not trying to take it off. So we're just going to start it on the bottom here. There. Pretty good. Let me grab the lure. While this was drying, I ran inside and used my lava soap to get most of it off. Most of the spray paint. So it's pretty close. It's not the exact pattern, but it's pretty good. This, to match closer, needed to go that way, but I'm not gonna worry about that. It's still pretty good. Lures come in so many different combinations that really, you could just pick some colors and do them. They're pretty good, but you can kind of see how that has a pretty decent fade right there. And then nothing here. And then I also tried to not get it on the bottom, so it's just right here on the edge a little bit. But pretty good. So I'm going to let this dry 100%. I'll go soak this and kind of scrub it up with lava soap and Dawn. But I'm going to let this dry really, really, really good, and then put a layer of epoxy next. I've got some circles cut. Got the holographic for the base of the eye. Got some smaller circles for the eyeball, or the pupil, I guess is a better word. And then these for the little dots on the back. So I'll show you how we're going to put that together. So this is right where the color fade ends. So right about there. I know that I don't have my proportions exact. So I'm gonna go a little bit higher, but that's not that big of a deal. So we have our little eyeball right here that we just did. And I'm going to do that right. Let's go back just a little bit. So just kind of go from one end to the other, or I'll show you on the other one how to do it the other way. You go from the center one way and then the center the other way. Sorry, I moved it. I need to put little rubber grippers on this little stand here. But if you can work from one end to the other or the middle outward, it helps with the alignment. Yeah, it's pretty good. And then the little black dot for the back, I guess that's just a regular marking. I don't know, I don't fish. This little dot right here, we'll put right there, because essentially you don't have to pretend like it's the whole thing, but just however you want it. Again, I know I said I was at Bass Pro at the beginning of this video yesterday. I was actually at Cabela's today because my husband finally made a decision on which fishing pole he wanted. And I was just looking at all the lures, and holy smokes, there's so many options. Blows my mind. You kind of can't go wrong. But I'm really glad that I went inside because I found a really great pink with like a pearlescent white stripe. That'll be my next lure inspiration that I show you guys. All right. You don't have to do transfer tape, but it definitely makes it easier in my opinion. All right, so this is slightly above, kind of bottom where the top of the pupil is. That's kind of what I'm gonna aim for. Like I said, on the other side, I'll show you how to do middle over if you're not familiar with that. Anytime there's a curved surface, it's not the same set of rules. All right, so that's that. So I'm gonna put this other eyeball together and then we'll do the other side and I'll show you that. other technique. So I've got my placement where the eyeball is literally peeking through the space, perfectly centered, to help me get this centered. But what I didn't do is look at how far from the top we had it. So, a little less than 3/4 of an inch. Right at 3/4 if you use that as the marking. So now once again, I'm gonna peek. I'm sure there's a much more scientific way of doing that, but I'm not there yet. Sorry. So I want this right on top, but I also need it to be spaced good. So this is where I promised to show you doing one side, and so do the middle and then rub to one direction and then to the other. Easy peasy. And now we'll do our other dot. I like to let my vinyl sit on my cups for about at least overnight. A day if I have time. Like if I'm gonna walk away and go do something else. Work on other projects or sit at my sewing machine or whatnot. That's what I'm gonna kind of multitask. So we've got this here. I want to get an idea of where I want it to go here. Like I said earlier, the bottom of it is right about even with the top of the pupil. I'm going to measure where the bottom is. About, I never know the 1/8 part. Yeah. All right, so I'm eyeballing that. Oh, I thought I was going to be successful at not getting glitter on one. Not today. That happens when I have glitter going also. So pupil about center there. Doesn't have to be perfect. And if you want to be extra sure, you can also kind of flip it over. Holy moly, I'm way off. I'm really glad I didn't put that down. Maybe I looked at this wrong. I sure did. I know some of y'all are laughing because you saw my mistake. I'm so used to dealing in millimeters in my world. This inches stuff gets me. In the optical world, almost everything is in millimeters. There's a tiny little bump underneath there in my epoxy, but I'm not gonna sweat it. It will be a little bit visible in there, under epoxy I mean, but I'm not gonna sweat it. So here is our final result. That's pretty even. Pretty happy with that. This looks good with the eyeballs too. I'd say that's a decent match, wouldn't you? I'm digging it. I can't wait to do the pink one. It was really pretty. And I didn't feel too guilty buying it just for inspiration because my husband did say that he would use it. So I'll show after epoxy. Once I get this epoxied, I'll do that as my thumbnail picture. But for now, really, that's all that we're gonna do here. I'm gonna let this sit. Probably won't get back to it till tomorrow night anyways. So I'm gonna let this sit overnight. I'm gonna spray coat it, clear coat. Sometimes epoxy will repel on the vinyl. Sometimes a lot, sometimes a little, sometimes none at all. I do have a few little blips. I'm not gonna stress about it though, because I'll just use this as a gift. But you get the gist of it. All right, if you have any questions or if you have any comments, please let me know. Feel free to leave it in the comment section. If you like my videos, please consider subscribing. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good one.